3 things I could have done better. What do I mean by that? 3 things I could have done better in business. Now, the outcome of where I am now, I'm super grateful for, because it's led me to having a descaled business, has led me to fall back in love with making YouTube content, be back on the camera, giving value, putting more purpose to my personal brand, I guess. But if I was to still be in business, what do I think I could have done better beforehand in order to have probably kept me in that situation? So I've been thinking about this one. Number one, the first thing I would have done better in business, would have been to have made more decisions with less emotions. So one of my personal pitfalls that I think I found, and I don't regret anything I've done. I believe that it all happened for the reason that it was going to happen, to lead me to where I am now. But if I still wanted to be a successful business, or if that was what I wanted my main goal to be, one of the main points would have been making more decisions based on business rather than emotion. Because what I did is, I employed my mum, I employed loads of friends, I employed all these people, but I didn't employ people who could do a job. I employed people who I wanted to just fill like the space that I wanted. I didn't, looking back in hindsight, decisions I would have made differently would have been never to employ friends to do tasks that anybody could do, because I don't think that that's a true value of a friend doing something outside of a favour. It's also a discredit to your friends as well. But what I mean by that is that certain jobs like data inputting and things where you want to have somebody upload products, you're better off finding more affordable ways to do that with people who don't really have to be in-house. So that would be one of the first things. Would have been, I'd have liked to have had more thought behind the processes I made before I employed the people. I was at the time 18, it was booming, and when I'm telling you booming, I'm I always say this, and I mean this with least arrogant way, because it's not about money at all, but I know that some people like to get to know that. But when I was in the second year of uni, I thought, I'm generating more than a couple of lecturers' salary together right now. So, and I'm 18. So, and if I'm at university to get more of an understanding to get a job, I've already built that. So everything happened really quick for me. And I, unfortunately at the time, was still in the process, in the mindset of I want to finish this degree. Although as soon as this took off, I was like, no, I don't. But I employed friends, and I employed friends out of practicality of what I had to do at that time. So what I would have done better would have been to look at what it is that I wanted to do out of the business, where I wanted it to actually go, and been a bit more focused on how I was going to get there. But the issue is that because I focused on a creative goal and I made things look good, and all I saw was more sales, which meant I'll get more models and shoot more stuff. And it just had that. It just did that. It was just doubling and doubling and doubling, honestly. So that would be one of the biggest things that I would have changed, or one of the things I'd have done better. And it's not to say I wouldn't have ever employed friends, but I would have wanted to employ them with more of a clear intention, or I would have wanted to look at everything and gone, no, my friend is actually the best for this, rather than going, it'd be nice to help your friend out. It'd be nice to do something for your friend. Because it is, but I think also it's part and parcel of it coming to the detriment of a business in some ways. So that would be number one. Don't make decisions in emotions. Business 101. Number two would have been creating better self-leverage earlier. I think that I took a lot of things because a lot of it was my first experience with dealing with a third-party website like ASOS, or working with suppliers, buying stock overseas. Some parts of me was not in perfect business acting at the time. I just kind of took these situations as they went along at the time, and I didn't really like overthink them or anything. So what I mean by that is, I was on ASOS for 7 years, but didn't think about trying to build a website at the minute I started on that platform. I just sort of thought that, and maybe times are different. Back then, I genuinely didn't have the time. I didn't have the time to build websites and stuff, because I just had a team of people at that point that were uploading and doing all the products, and we were basically scaling the mass process of it, because it's not a simple process to buy and sell this like level of clothing. And what we was doing at the time was probably uploading 250 products a day individually that had to be washed, prepared, sourced, sorted, photographed, modelled, and this was all by the same team of friends. So we're already in, it was already like the wheel in the little guinea pig like enclosure was turning at like a fast speed, and we're all turning it at the same time. And I think when you're within it, you don't know when you can just jump out and kind of jump back in. So I would have liked to have had a bit more leverage by building a website a little bit earlier, and that would have been something that I would have done. That would have been something I'd have done for sure. So that's two things. And I guess the last thing of like what I could have done better would probably to have just been, and when I say 3 things I could have done better, I mean 3 things that I could have done better to probably like maintain the level of business that I didn't have to stop it. And it's not, again, to say that this stopping, which I do genuinely think whatever happened with Gully in the last year has been the best thing that's ever happened to me personally. And this is like one of the first times in life where I've gone, actually, it is about making sure I'm all sweet as well. Like, honestly, I used to work 7 days a week for about 10 years consistently, like no faults, no stops. And I still grind right now, because that's just in my nature, I think, now. But I just had no chill. So the third point, and the third honest point, is that I would have liked to have had a little bit more self-review and analysis on my own without anybody involved about how I felt things were where they were. Because I think for a lot of it, I got caught in the corporate bubble of, so I've got all these ads, I've got all these outgoings, I've got to just keep making this money. And then 1 month it's out, got to get 100K, got to get 150K, got to get this. I'm not even joking. I'm not just making up figures. Like, that was like where it was. It was like making serious money. But I hadn't questioned my intentions along the way. I'd been doing this with friends in good faith, and I'd just been running in this one direction, putting all the eggs in like a few baskets and going, come on, there's no way that this would not work. Whereas now looking back, I would have probably been a little bit more reflective with how the market changed, with understanding the way that Brexit and COVID were going to change the way that people would buy. And I know you could never have predicted all those things at the time, but what I'm realising now upon reflection, because obviously hindsight is the worst, but like, is that looking back, I don't really spend time thinking about what I could have done anyway, because I think that everything that happened has led me to a point where it's going to make more sense with whatever I'm going to do. Doing these videos, giving value back, still being surrounded by clothes and working like with my mum, with Marge, doing stuff like that, that's all like cool little bits that I'm still grateful to be able to do as well. And where it was before was insane. But I was saying, if I was to maintain a business again, which if that's what I wanted to do, that's what I would still be doing, like at that big scale, there's some of the things that going forward I would probably consider. I would never employ friends again. I would think and be more analytical to every decision I make, and that's what I do now. And I would just make sure that I'm spreading the right angles. Like now, we do our live streams, we have the website, we have a few different avenues, but we don't put all our eggs into one basket and hope that that's going to be the one that just does it, because we like, I enjoy personally having a few things going on. I enjoy this and like doing TikTok and doing these other little bits, because it adds different depth to every other part of it. Before, honestly, doing Gully, it was like Gully or nothing. Like, it was just like that, and there was nothing else around it. And that's probably one of the other biggest points of it. So yeah, Interesting. Reflection time. I've got 8 minutes to get onto a live, but I needed to film a couple because when you're watching this, it'll be over the Christmas period. And when did I shoot this? On the 23rd of December, for those that are interested.